Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's me to go first. I have a great rack. I have Atropia, but that would stop one square short of the triple word square, and it takes an S, so I'd like to find something better. I've got airport and Parator. That would work with the P on H4. Let me just see if I can see something I feel happier with. Apricot. Yeah, I think actually I'll play a protic because it doesn't take an S and it doesn't place a vowel next to one of the double letter squares in the middle. Pretty awful rack. Only one vowel and two sets of duplicates. But probably not bad enough to change. I'm looking at the vowels on the board. I'm going to struggle to play off the N and the T. Sorry, an N and a T with the Z. I don't have to play the Z, but if I don't, I'm not going to score very much. I'm looking at the A of a protic. My Z can go on top of that where my opponent's played the J. Let me scroll down so we can watch the scoring. Okay, so 41 points for my opponent. I don't have anything to go after J-A. So, what to do? Can I reach a double word square in column 5? Well, I could play Dazer, but that's keeping double N, double T. Well, that's probably worth doing, though, because Dazer scores 30 points, but surely I can do better. This is a really tricky rack. Keeping double N, double T is just awful. But it's probably better to change next go than this go. So do I have any alternative plays? Well, I could play Zanja in column 3, but that's placing a Z next to a triple letter square, and it doesn't get doubled. So I'll take the points, and I may end up changing next go. Actually, that's not too bad. I've picked up an O and a Y, both of which help my rack. Townie is good, and Naughty. And I note that my Y can also go after J-A. So I could play Toy or Noi in row I. A protic is quite a blocky opening move because the C doesn't take a letter in front or behind, and a protic doesn't take any back hooks. So although the TI and C are good floaters for bingos, they don't provide much opportunity for scoring for non-bingos. I haven't seen anywhere to play Townie or Naughty, which scores well. I note that my Y can go after Joe to make Joey. 28 points for my opponent. Nothing of value provided by him. So, although the rack is quite good compared to my rack leave from last go, I don't have a whole bunch of options. Win is good. I could play Twiny in column 8, which would totally sort the rack out and not give very much away. In fact, it would obstruct all of the floaters in a Protec. Or I could play Toyo or Toyon. Toyon down here. Although it keeps the W, I think this is going to be a good score. 39 points. Yeah, I think that's best and certainly a lot better than Twiny. Through an E, I would have unrights. No E's available. I can't see anything through the I or C of a Protec. I do have the W for score, but the U and W is a bad combination. It would be nice to play off both of them, but that's difficult. My W can go after J-A, but I can't even see a 2-letter or 3-letter play which uses it, so that's not going to be a profitable spot to play in. Toyon takes an S after it. I have an S. But I don't think I can score enough to justify using it this go. I could play worst in row J, but the score is going to be pretty poor. Just 21 points. Now AT takes a T after it, so I could play in column 7. I could play wit or wits. 26 points for wits. Hopefully my opponent will provide some additional options. Now, QI takes an N after it. I've got an N, so I could play Nat. But I can't see anything bigger than that. Now, I can play off the U and the W with unwit or unwits. So at the moment, unwit does play in column 7. Great, only 15 points for my opponent, but he has blocked my unwit spot. Now, he has provided 2 new spots for unwit in columns 7 and 9, hooking the G of felling. Only 12 points. It would probably be better to play unwits in row J. 24 points. Well, I quite like the S. Now, there's still 1 blank and 3 S's out there, so if I play unwit in columns 7 or 9, my opponent could play in row O, but he's got to play immediately because I have got an S. Well, what about playing unwits and fellings? That doesn't give much away. Let's see if this gets up towards 30 points. Yeah, exactly 30 points. That's, I think, is best. It doesn't provide very much for my opponent. Rack leaves okay. Having played the S, I pick up 2 more, which is fortunate. only one vowel, so not bingo-y. My opponent challenges, that's good. He loses 5 points. I've now got a 90-point lead. I can burn one of my S's for almost nothing. 2 S's is no better than 1. So Vince is a play, or Vans. Either would sort my rack out. I'm again looking in row E to see if I can put my N on the end of chi, but I certainly would like to play off the V as well. Great, I can play Vince in row M, below where my opponent has played. And again, this is going to give nothing away. And should score reasonably well. 31 points. That's looking a bit better. 2 vowels this time, including an E. I can't see a 7-letter bingo with this rack. What about the floaters in Fellings? Can't see anything with the F, or the E, or the L, or the G. But I do have the M for score. And I've drawn an N for going underneath chi. Vince was a really blocky board. It's provided absolutely nothing for my opponent because he can't play in row N underneath the V. Now I note that my M could play underneath JA, so I could play ROM, which would sort the rack out. 17 points, but at the risk of opening up column 1, which isn't great. I certainly want to play off one of the R's. I'm looking in row D to see if I've got a play beginning with the F of Fellings. So I could play Former. 22 points. The trouble with that is that it's not a great score, and it's wrecking the rack. It leaves a rack leave of NS. And that rack leave could be a lot better. Now, 17 points for my opponent. What has he provided for me? EH only takes an S after it. I'm not going to score enough to justify playing my solitary S. I could play... Well, I was going to say Norm in column 10, but I can't. I don't have anything to go in front of AAH. So it was quite a good move by my opponent. Hasn't provided very much. Now, what I can do is play Farmer, keeping ONS. So here's my dilemma. I can play Farmer in row D, but that provides 3 good floaters plus the S hook. Or I can play Rom and Jam, opening up column 1. And there's only 1 point between those scores. Is there a third play I haven't considered? If I played off just M and R, my rack leave of Noser would be quite good. Can't see anywhere to do that. I've got 12 minutes left and there are 44 tiles in the bag. I think I'll play Farmer. I've got a good lead. And with the S, I would hope to be bingoing again fairly shortly. I've now had 2 sets of duplicate tiles, which is annoying, and no scoring tiles, so I'm not... Well, I say I'm not bingoing on this rack, but Jognosy is good, and I think Jognost. So with a floating T or Y, I would have a bingo. So I mustn't dismiss the bingo prospects of this rack too quickly. So I'm looking at the floaters in Farmer. I can't see anything there. Well, this shouldn't be too difficult to resolve. I could play Nog, N-O-G-G, above Farmer, placing a G in column 15, but that's not particularly dangerous. I could play Eggnog in row J through the G of Felling. That would look quite nice. Only 13 points, but I'm going to struggle with this rack because I have no scoring tiles. I don't think Gog is good, otherwise I could play that in row I, making Jag. Go-Go and Goog are both good, and that would probably leave the best rack leave. Nowhere for either of those plays at present. My opponent's taking a while. He may be close to a bingo. Or just struggling. I don't think this is an easy board for either of us because it's so limited in options. I can't see a way of using the M of Farmer for score. Well, apart from playing Mog, but that's only 12 points, which is pretty dismal. Quite a lot of E's left, so I could play my E. I don't need to keep hold of it, even though it is bingo-y, and I would prefer to keep hold of it. I've got Gorgon in column 13, and that's pretty good. 18 points, and it totally sorts my rack out, leaving just ES. And it's turning over a lot of tiles, which is good since I'm 100 points ahead. It helps to expedite the end of the game. It increases my chances of drawing the blank. That's been blocked. Has my opponent provided something else? Well, yes, I can play Nog down here. For 23 points, slightly heavy rackly, which is unfortunate. That can result in vowel heaviness in succeeding racks. Now, the only way I can use the V averst is by playing Govs for 30 points. 7 more points, and it's retaining a G. So I don't really like that. Now, I can't see any alternatives in column 15, and I am denying my opponent the more bingo-y of the 2 bingo lanes he has opened. Not great. Another pair of duplicate tiles, but I do at least have scoring tiles now. Not a huge number of places where I can score, though. Now, I can play Bib in row I. Bib and Jab. Which would score fairly well. The B isn't particularly dangerous in column 1. But what's irksome about that play is the rack leave of E-I-O-S. Especially with quite a lot of vowels to come. Right, well that spot has been taken. My opponent scores 37 points, which is a good score for him. He's only 48 points behind now. Where can I play my one or both of my Bs, and certainly one of my Is? I am drawn to the triple word square my opponent has opened in column 1, and I'm also mindful of row A around the V of versed. I can't see how I can score using the V. 9 minutes left, 26 tiles in the bag. I can play Boney down here, and this is going to sort out the vowel preponderance. And it's going to take out a bingo lane, so 21 points. Although I'm no longer 100 points ahead, I am still ahead. Well, that doesn't look too bad. I don't think there's a 7-letter bingo here. I'm sure there are some 8s. I think I would have Limiest, beginning with an L. But I think the only floaters are the M and E of farmers and the G of fellings, and I can't see any bingos with those. £25 points for my opponent. And he's taken out one of the floaters, which is good, especially as it's the most useful one, the E. Now, can I use the V of versed? I don't think I can. Well, it's not particularly dangerous, but it can be bingoed through. So I just need to play off a B and an I to leave a pretty good rack leave of smite. So I could play buy and bid in column 3. Only 10 points. Where else can I score? Hard takes an S in front. Well, it's a real shame I can't use that V. But I can't. So BI or MI? I could play bit across here. 17 points, which is okay. The rack leaves okay. The B, not totally dangerous. It would have to be an A or an O in front of it. So although my opponent can probably score in row A using it, he probably can't bingo. And I'm taking out the V, which could have been part of a very expensive 9-timer. But do I need to be this open? Well, I think this is okay. 17 points would take me to 285, 60 points in the lead with a decent rack leave. Not great. Through an A, I would have... Well, no, I was going to say Euremias, but I don't have that. Well, this isn't such a great rack. I think I've drawn just vowels. Well, plus an R. I don't have an A or an O for going in front of the B. I note that the takes an E in front at A12. So then it may be possible to still score well with the V. Now, if I could play MEU somewhere, I'd be leaving Rise, which is an excellent four-letter set. Well, it's not MEU, but I do have ME in row E underneath the M and E of farmers. 37 points, quite expensive, but as I mentioned, not a bingo. So I'm now just 24 points in front. 12 tiles in the bag. No S's left, but there is one blank, so my S is quite valuable. So, what to do? Just looking at the G of Fellings in case I've got a bingo beginning with that, and I don't think I do. Can't see anything beginning with an E above the. So I can see nowhere at all for playing MEU, which would really sort the rack out. But playing ME here provides nothing for my opponent, and there's only one more U to come. That's pretty good. I have Eurydias, which plays in column 14, making Nog. I can't see any other playable bingos with this rack. The blank means the remaining tiles do have bingo potential, but they don't look massively bingo-y. And there are very few bingo lanes on this board. Great, Eurydias stays available. £73 points. Ooh, not good. I can see the tiles that my opponent has got. I have emptied the bag with that bingo. He has got a blank. Looking at the tiles on my rack. Ooh, ouch, that comes off. That's a shame. I was probably confusing that with something. Maybe Eurydia without the S is good. So, at least I'm spared that awkward rack that I drew. And I know what my opponent's got. I know he's got the blank. But I don't think he has a bingo. And this rack is pretty good. If I played off just the U, or the U and the A, the remaining tiles would be very bingo-y. But what this board lacks is bingo lanes. And the U and the A are the letters that hook the G of Nog. So I was thinking about playing UVA in the top right to leave the best rack leave, but then I would be playing off the tiles which hook that G. I wonder if there is an anagram of these tiles. Only Eurydias came to mind, so maybe this is a non-bingo set. Ah, no, it's residua. Residua and it takes an L. Okay. Nowhere for that to play. And I don't think residua has an anagram. Aprotic does not take an S. If I'd played apricot, then I could play residua in column 10. I'm looking in row A to see if I've got a play which ends over the I of iwi. The D certainly goes above that I, but I can't see a 5-letter play ending with the D. Well, I could play resid, but that burns the S. However, the S's utility can diminish at the end of the game, and I think that is the case here. Although it is the only S, there is very little on this board that can be pluralized. 24 points for resid. Well, at the moment I'm drawn to UVA. Because if my opponent does bingo in column 14, I would like to maximise my chances of bingoing back. And he will be providing floaters. But I don't think he'll be bingoing this go, because from recollection his tiles didn't appear to make a bingo. So right now my preference is for Juve at the top right, but I do know that resid is available as an option at the top left. Well, my opponent's taken my preferred spot. There are 5 tiles left, so I don't want to play 5 tiles, because then if my opponent bingos, he wins. Well, my opponent is unlikely to bingo, given what's left. But he could win without a bingo. I'm only 17 points in front. And if I don't play at A1, my opponent could play there and get about 30 or 40 points. He's got probably some of the scoring tiles, C, P, and Y. So maybe I do need to play there. But I don't want to empty the bag. Five tiles left. So what I could do is play Rudd. And I'm thinking of keeping vowels. In case I draw only consonants. But this doesn't feel a great move. Only 8 points, 320 to 295, only a 25-point lead. But this is giving nothing away. I've only got 2 minutes left. Or... no, I was thinking about playing UVA through the V, but I think that takes an E. And the reason I was thinking about that is because I think, although the blank could be an S, I don't think my opponent has a bingo with the S in first or second place. I think this is best because I think row A is the only really high-scoring spot available. I'm going to play this because I've only got 2 minutes left and I want some thinking time. I have the C as a scoring tile. I don't have a bingo. My opponents may have a bingo. But if he does, he may not be able to play it. Now, I note, well, my opponents may have a C as well, but Rudd does take a C in front, so he could play down here for 20-odd points. Especially if he could place the C here and the Y or the L on this triple letter square, so maybe Rudd wasn't such a great play. And if he were to play down here in column 2, he wouldn't be giving much away because Crud doesn't take a front hook. So I'm not particularly pleased with that play. And I'm going to struggle to go out in 2. My opponent is likely to empty the bag now. And he's got the blank, which will give him options. So having had a 100-point lead, I've somewhat thrown it away. Yeah, maybe the play was something like Resid to avoid the possibility of being outscored without a bingo. If my opponent doesn't play in column 2, I've got cause, keeping IE. Great, and he doesn't. Where's he played? Ah, well, yeah, he's played Yid for just 7, leaving 1 in the bag. Okay, he does have bingo potential with this rack. But it would have to be a bingo beginning with G, or using his blank as an A or a U. Well, I don't think there is a bingo there, and that means that I can play Q down here for 17 points, which at this stage of the game is quite good. So that would take me to 337, a 35-point lead. I don't think I'm going to go out with this rack. But I think 17 points for Q is the best I can do. I'm playing this because of time. Ah, and of course I draw the last tile. So I have Isle, which plays in column 14. And Ag. I can see my opponent's rack, very bingo-y. Does he have a bingo? Can't see anything beginning with the G or with G in second place. And I can't see anything beginning A or U, so I don't think he can play a bingo. I've got Isle in column 13 and column 14, hooking Do and the G of Nog. And do I have anything through the G of Fellings? Nope. Agile doesn't take an S. Great, and Isle stays available. I think it'll score more up here. $11 points. Well, that's a relief. My opponent ends the game. And the final score, 322 for my opponent, 360 for me. A winning margin of 38 points. So a really tight game. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. And I had a whole bunch of bingos, all scoring the same. And I like a pro tick the best. My opponent's rack, pretty awful. And then I had a pretty tricky rack here. Xander for 32. Well, I played Dazer for 30. Xander certainly would have been better because it would have played off one of the duplicate ends and it scored more. So I think Xander was the play and Dazer looks second best. My opponent's rack, he plays Chi. And then this was my rack and Toyon looks best. Not easy to see, so I'm glad I spotted that. My opponent's rack, he plays Felling. And then I played Unwits for 30. I didn't know Unwist, which is its anagram. But I think those two both look best. My opponent's rack, he plays Oof. And then I played Vince. And that plays at M1 and M2. But it scores more at M2, so that's the better place. My opponent's rack, he plays R. And then this was a tricky rack, and I was contemplating playing Rom at I1, making jam, which put the R on this triple lane, or farmer for 22 with an inferior rack leave. Well, tricky because ENRS isn't a great rack leave. It's quite good, but it's not great. So I would need to simulate to find out which move was better. This is my opponent's rack. He's got stirved and farmers and revested. So fortunately for me, he didn't see those. This was my rack. D11, where's that? Oh, well, that's down from the M of farmers, Mongo. Instead, I played Nog for 7 more points, keeping EOS. I prefer Nog. My opponent's rack, he played Nuke. And now this was a tricky rack, duplicate tiles. Mobby, that would have been a good play. Decent score and a decent rack leave. Instead, I played Boney for 3 fewer points. And, well, I'm not sure if that rack leave is better or worse than IS. So not much between those plays. And I'm taking out a very dangerous lane. And my opponent, had I not taken that out, could have played Hand Axe for about 60 points. Instead, he played hard. This was my rack. Wow, just 2 and 3 letter plays being suggested. Mib, that looks pretty good. D11. Yeah, I think Mib is the play I'd have liked to have played. What did I do? I played Bit. Yeah, Mib, I think, is better. It scores 3 fewer points. But I think the rack leave is better. I think the T goes quite well with EIMS. My opponent scores 37 for Taxa, which he wouldn't have had that opportunity if I'd played Mib. Now, this was my rack, and I struggled. And ME at E11, well, that actually looks fine. And now here I disgraced myself with Eurydias. There was no available bingo, but I could have got 26 points for Ruida, and that would certainly have been a good play, because it would have left 2 in the bag. I didn't know my opponent had the blank, so I'd have increased my chances of drawing it, and it was a decent score, and it gave nothing away. Anyway, I phonied, which made the game a lot tighter than it needed to be. This was my opponent's rack. He doesn't have a bingo. He played Ave. I'm back with my Residua rack. And here I was in a difficult spot because I was only 17 points ahead. Looking at the high-scoring tiles left, I could see that my opponent might have a 30 or 40-point play across here. But if I make a 5-letter play, I'm emptying the bag. And that's not ideal, especially if my opponent bingos. So I played Rudd, but I didn't like it. And none of the moves here really achieve a takeout row A without emptying the bag. So it's just a very difficult situation to be in, and wholly avoidable if I had played Ruida the previous go. Now, this was my opponent's rack. He doesn't have a bingo. He played Yid. This was my rack. And, well, that's nice. Torts down here for 20 points. But Q for 17 I think is fine. Finally, my opponent does not have a bingo. He plays up, and I have Isle in 2 spots to run out the winner. So from a very strong position, I ended up being in quite a tight endgame, made worse by phoning. But that happens, and it's important to simply put that out of your mind, or to dwell on your current rack and try and do the best you can. And as you see in this instance, it did not cost me the game. So I hope you enjoyed watching that video and got something out of it. My name is David Webb, and this has been a video for Dweebovision.